Why do we sometimes obey the rules and other times break them? Why do some people conform while others become labeled as deviant? The answers to these questions lie deep within the sociological study of deviance and conformity, concepts that are not only about right or wrong, but about power, norms, and identity. Deviance is not a fixed quality of an act, but rather how society defines an act. What's considered deviant in one culture or one historical period may be entirely normal in another. Conformity, on the other hand, means aligning one's behavior with the accepted standards, values, or norms of a group or society. But who decides what is acceptable? Sociologist Emil Durkheim argued that deviance is a normal and necessary part of any society. It helps define moral boundaries and can even lead to social change. Without deviance, there would be no innovation, no civil rights movement, no scientific revolutions, no cultural shifts. Robert K. Merton expanded on this in his strain theory, suggesting that deviance arises when there's a disconnection between cultural goals and the means available to achieve them. For example, if success is measured by wealth, but legitimate paths to wealth are blocked for some, they may turn to illegitimate means. Merton categorized responses to this tension like innovation, ritualism, retreatism, rebellion, all forms of deviance from dominant norms. Howard Becker, in his labeling theory, proposed that deviance isn't about the act itself, but how society reacts to it. When someone is labeled as deviant, that label can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Think of how young people labeled as troublemakers are treated differently by teachers, police, or employers. The label shapes their identity and behavior. Michel Foucault took a historical and power-centered view. In his study of prisons and mental institutions, he explored how society disciplines deviance not just through punishment, but through surveillance and normalization. Power doesn't just punish, it defines what is normal. Conformity, then, can be a product of constant observation and internalized control, what Foucault called panopticism. Contemporary sociologists like Patricia Hill Collins and Michelle Alexander have examined how race, class, and gender affect who is labeled deviant. The school-to-prison pipeline, for example, reveals how marginalized youth are disproportionately funneled into criminal justice systems. Similarly, cultural criminologists like Jeff Farrell explore how acts of deviance can be forms of resistance or expressions of identity, especially in subcultures. Ultimately, conformity and deviance are not just about individual choices, but about social structures, inequalities, and power dynamics. What you conform to and what you reject says as much about society as it does about you. If you found this perspective eye-opening and want to keep exploring the hidden forces that shape our lives, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.